Hello and welcome to Stena Match Cup Sweden, stage 3 of the Alpari World Match Racing Tour 2012. And at the moment, with 5 flights remaining in qualifying, there are 2 experienced tour card leaders at the top of the pack, but 5 still in contention. Bjorn Hansen, at the moment, you lead the pack over Peter Gilmore. You're going out today. Are you going to continue that trend?
Well, we hope so. I mean, we have had a fantastic week so far, and we hope to keep sailing really good as we have done. But it's another day, and suddenly you just can't make it and you lose all your matches. So we're going to keep on working hard and hope to do some good results.
Well, depending on match racing conditions, it could come down to the fact that topping qualifying could be really important. So in terms of flights coming up, who do you see as the big contenders out there today?
We have 4 really tough matches, including Ian Williams and Pierre-Antoine Morvan. So I think and even Keith Swinton, who's also at the top of the leaderboard. So it's going to be really tough matches, well, we hope to just keep on sailing good and see if we can get any points on the scoreboard.
You mentioned keep sailing good, and of course you're the career match cup winner, so you've got great points on the board, a good prize purse from last time out. Yeah. You've got that confidence, and then you've got the home crowd as well. It's all going for you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we don't feel any pressure. I think that the pressure is on all the other sailors, as we are on the top of the leaderboard. They have to pick more points than us to pass us. So we have a good chance to get a little bit gap between us and the other teams, and we hope to take that chance.
Well, let's see how you got on in one of those important flights. We're going forward in time.
Come on! That was not his way out. Wide up! We're responding exactly when he's on proper course. Hard turn, boy. Hard turn.
Bjorn Hansen leading the Alpari World Match Racing Tour here into leg 3 here in Sweden.
No way! Look at me! Segla.
Hansen calls sailing. The umpires go green flag. We have a split tack start. Keith Swinton moving out towards that right-hand side. I think Bjorn perhaps leading the speed build, and Keith Swinton there not letting the boat and having to tack. That will cost him dearly. That a down speed tack. So costing him extra distance up the course as Bjorn Hansen leads over towards this left-hand side. And there's Bjorn Hansen. He opens up the Lotus clock on Keith Swinton. Both boats now setting their spinnakers and powering off onto leg 2. This is the run down to the bottom mark on lap 1. There's Bjorn round. And here goes Keith. Now it looks to me like Bjorn Hansen had to sail perhaps an extra half boat length to get down to that left-hand gate as we were looking at them. This perhaps an opportunity. Keith taking the predominantly favoured side of the beat. So Bjorn tacks, and Keith Swinton tacks, and we're coming back together. Now as the boats close, was that a mistake from Bjorn Hansen? Are we going to see Keith Swinton stronger than he was? My eye says yes as I look out the commentary booth onto the racecourse. It looks like Keith Swinton has made inroads into that lead. Keith Swinton now 2 lengths ahead of Bjorn Hansen as we approach this final second top mark in what could be a crucial matchup of this qualifying round here at the Stena Match Cup Sweden Alpari World Match Racing Tour. They're a healthy lead to keep. Capitalising not once but twice on that beat to come back against Bjorn Hansen and now lead this match. Hansen looking over his shoulder, he's looking for a way back into this match. Where is that next gust going to come from? And it is Keith Swinton now, the young Australian, right at the top of the leaderboard here in this qualifying round. He comes down through the line. There's the yellow flag. He has won this matchup against Bjorn Hansen. I think probably a decisive match between these two skippers to define who will be able to win the group stage here at the Stena Match Cup Sweden.
Well, that defeat for Bjorn Hansen must have knocked the Swede's confidence, because he went on to lose the next 2 races, opening the door for Phil Robertson, Peter Gilmore and Ian Williams, who all took part in the final flight.
He rounds that top mark ahead. I think Ian just able to close up that lead a little bit, just to the top. That will help his cause, perhaps put him in a position where he can attack downwind. As both marks round.
I'm on board with Phil Robertson and Walker Racing to inform you guys you have top qualifying. Well done.
Yeah, we're very happy with that. It's yeah, well, I think we started off with a couple of losses early on and have gone on a pretty good winning streak. So yeah, very happy right now.
Now this is a familiar feeling for you guys. Match race Germany, you topped, you got to buy into the semis. Now you get to have your pick in the quarters for the knockouts here. Do you already have in mind who you're going to go for?
Absolutely not. We've got no idea who else made it, and I think it's going to be very tight. Well, at the top as well as at the around the 8 mark, and yeah, I think it's a big credit to the team and how far we've come. We've really struggled in qualifying rounds last year, so to top in 2 of the 3 events and come second in the other one in the first round is fantastic. So I think just proves we've got a lot more consistency now, and yeah, we're feeling very comfortable in the boats at the moment, and yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
I know that you love your jostling with Peter Gilmore, and I will now inform you that the race that you just finished by beating Peter Gilmore means that he didn't top the group. He's going to be a bit annoyed about that, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know. No, maybe. He's always a tough competitor and we love racing him. It just seems to never end the match, even when you finish almost. So yeah, he's a lot of fun to sail against and definitely a good old dog.
Well, let's see how you cruise to victory there. Well done.
I think now we go back towards match 2. This our feature match. Phil Robertson from New Zealand up against Peter Gilmore, 7-time winner of the Stena Match Cup Sweden. Yanmar Racing having been firing on all cylinders. They'll be looking to close this out and top the group as they come back to face rivals Phil Robertson. As we talked about, this a matchup that we've seen already a couple of times on the tour so far, most notably in Germany in that semi-final between these 2 skippers, where Phil Robertson originally went 2-0 up, then Peter came back to level the score to 2-2, and then Phil Robertson managing to hold it together and close out that final match and narrowly win that semi-final and progress to the final and ultimately win the competition. I'm sure that will have left a sore point on Peter Gilmore. This is opportunity for payback, and he's on form. Let's see what happens. I think we're going to see fireworks from this match. Very aggressive turn down from Phil Robertson. Gets onto starboard, forces an alteration from Peter Gilmore. But it's going to cost him a lot of speed, and here comes the bow of Peter Gilmore. He's going to turn down and try and get inside the stern and line off Phil Robertson. Good acceleration from Phil Robertson, but he's in a vulnerable position there. Peter Gilmore has the starboard advantage, and he has that leeward separation. Now, can Phil Robertson get a jibe in? I'm not sure he can as he turns down. There's the boom complete. He does. And Peter Gilmore turns up to avoid. 2 minutes 5 to go. They're going to lead from here. It's time to go.
Big wind up now, okay? Wait, right down,
Phil Robertson perhaps lagging that turn a little more than he would, and I'm sure he'd want the main drawing a little more than that. And here comes Phil Robertson. He turns up. Peter Gilmore deciding he's going to have another bite of the apple, turns back down again.
Not
For me,
driving,
it's
just
time to
staying
get
well,
going
okay?
here. Both boats needing to get back towards the line. It's
Okay,
much
ready?
lighter the
Wide up,
conditions.
this way.
I'm not sure their
Driving
timings are
there.
reflecting that drop in pressure.
Halfway, huh? Yeah, 120, probably 50 back here, eh? Winding up now.
So that time plus
Looks like
30.
Ian's on late.
Phil Robertson there with the
Down.
advantage.
But that's a nice day. Okay, coming down now, soaking down.
Phil Robertson there, I think Peter
Soaking down.
undervaluing the lead, not quite getting his timing right. And for me, Phil Robertson in a dominant position with 1 minute to go. Still above ley line. There's the 1 minute gun. And right now it's all Phil Robertson. I think we're going to see him lead off this starboard end.
Big up now, big up. On we go. Okay. High mode. Just try to get him in our juice here. Yeah, copy. Coming down now. Big speed build.
Clean instruction from Phil Robertson.
Hang on, wait, Guff.
Very cool, calm and collected sailor.
Attacking.
An attack from Peter Gilmore, that unexpected.
5, 3, 2,
I think that will just waste more time with only 30 seconds to go. We'll see Phil Robertson tack back onto the bow of Peter Gilmore. Not give him any fresh air.
2, 1, attacking.
Here's some unsettled chat from Peter Gilmore. Now, is this a big left-hand shift we're seeing here? I think we have. So there's the gun. Phil Robertson tacks to try and cover Peter Gilmore over towards that right-hand side. There we can see a massive shift has come down the course. Massive left-hand shift. You can hear Peter Gilmore and those guys hadn't picked up on it. They led all the way down into the box, and that a tricky start for both boats. Huge shifts, pressure changes galore. Always forcing the crews to redress and recalculate their numbers, and those two changes I think catching, certainly the first one catching both boats out, and then the second I think perhaps specifically Yanmar Racing perhaps not getting the measure of it, and that allowing Phil Robertson to make the best of the start, and he has the lead, he has control right now, but we've seen some superb sailing from Yanmar Racing so far this regatta. I'm interested to see whether they can mount a comeback here. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if we did.
Nice work there, boys. Good job. It's going to be tricky.
So we're going to join Lindsay Hooper down at the bottom of the course as this matchup, our feature match, approaches the finish line on the final flight.
Yes, we'll get the view from on the water, and as you can see, Phil Robertson cruising towards that finish line, and that's really upset things here. Peter Gilmore had that quarter-final pick in sight if he'd have topped the qualifiers, but Phil Robertson, as he always does, has caused another upset. That start quite critical in this race, and he's just passing the finish line now, as we can see in shots. Peter Gilmore quite a way behind. This view down here really puts it into perspective, the distance there, and Phil Robertson pulling this. It had been promising to be a tense finish to qualifying, and it certainly lived up to expectations. Not many people thought Phil Robertson would end up topping the leaderboard. That's exactly what happened. So let's run through the 8 skippers that have made it through to the knockout stages. Starting with Phil Robertson, as you can see, from Walker Racing Team at the top with 10 wins and 3 losses, equal to Peter Gilmore, who finished in 2nd place when we back counted from Yanmar Racing with 10 wins, 3 losses as well. Ian Williams, the current world champion from GAC Pindar, in 3rd. Keith Swinton, who's had a great time here in Marstrand, he finished in 4th. Bjorn Hansen had 9 wins. He came into this today actually as the leader, but dropped down to 5th after 3 losses from Mekonomen Sailing Team. 9 wins, 4 losses. Johnny Berntsen, the other Swede from Berntsen Sailing Team, on the same score. In 7th, Pierre-Antoine Mordan, he had 7 wins and 6 losses. And Ruben Corbett just snuck in. We always have one that sneaks in 8th place from AON Racing Team. And the ones that go home include Aschenbrenner, Limburg, Mursky, Ferrarese, Jury, and the Swede Ogerman. So Simon Shaw joins me, who's the racing commentator for those races. You saw Phil Robertson today. It was a bit of a shock.
It was interesting. We were all watching the matches and trying to think who out of the top 4 of Williams Gilmore and Bjorn Hansen was going to go through, and as suddenly fate would have it, we did the calculations, and suddenly we saw Phil Robertson was right up there as well. So it wasn't a surprise in the sense that he's been sailing, very well during this regatta, and everyone was very tight. The top 6 teams were all on 6 win, all evens for losses going into the final couple of matches, and I suppose it's quite hard to track that many people, but no, to be fair, we hadn't seen Phil Robertson sneaking right to the top.
Well, as soon as we saw as well that Corbett sneaked in 8th place, we thought, well, that's it. That's who Phil Robertson will pick in the draw. You were there, so what happened?
Well, yes, so straight up on the table, Phil Robertson the first to choose as the winner, and he went for Reuben Corbett. I mean, we didn't see that necessarily as absolutely certain. Those guys both growing up in New Zealand, they know each other very well. They've sailed against each other a lot, and for me, we weren't certain there wasn't a bit of history there, or maybe Phil would be anti-picking his countrymen or something along those lines. But barring that, I think, Reuben Corbett, not as experienced as the other skippers here in that final 8, and I suppose a relatively easy pick for Phil Robertson in that sense.
Going into the quarter-final draws, which other ties really got you salivating?
I suppose the next was, Peter Gilmore sailing against Keith Swinton. I was actually anticipating Peter Gilmore picking Pierre-Antoine Morland there. So if there was a slight surprise of the draw, perhaps it would be that one. Keith sailing very well at the start of this round, and sometimes it's not sensible to pick the young guy in form, particularly when you're not the young guy. So I sort of had him picking Pierre, but I think an interesting matchup, the All-Australian matchup, and Peter definitely dominating that exchange in the round robin. So it'll be interesting to see how they measure up against 5 races. My money's on Peter. I think Yama Racing sailing really well here, and I'd like to sort of see them go all the way. So perhaps my money is with him there. And then Williams, Pierre-Antoine Morland, an easy pick for Ian. Then it was the most obvious choice of the 3 he had left available. So I wasn't surprised with that. That'll be an interesting match. I think Ian, again, sailing very well. And then I suppose the pick that everyone's been waiting for, the all-Swedish final matchup between Bjorn Hansen and Johnny Berntsen. And as we said this morning, they're both sailing very well. I mean, that's the thing that's really setting this event apart from the previous Alpari World Match Racing Tour regattas so far this year, is we genuinely have 6 teams sailing superbly here, all absolutely on the top of the game, and it makes picking who's going to go through really difficult. We've got a very competitive regatta on our hands.
Should be a great weekend ahead here in Marstrand. Well, thanks very much, Simon. Our attention now turns to the quarterfinals, and we're taking that step closer to crowning a new or potentially a returning champion here for Stena Match Cup Sweden.